we are going to take one of the important topics from writing skills section, that is note making. Now, note making, before that the term note, students are familiar with. This is the term which you use often, and you are using it often, and you are referring to the term many times. So what exactly is note making? Before trying to understand the concept, we will try to understand what are notes. What are notes exactly? Notes are a brief record of points which are written down for future reference or for just remembering them later on. Yes? Am I correct? So they are a brief written record of the main aspects of whatever material you are studying. Now, when you are talking about notes, what comes in mind? There are two aspects which are there. Note taking and note making. Which are the two aspects? Note taking and note making. Is there some difference between both the terms that we are using? Yes, there is slight difference between both the terms that we are using. In both the things, actually, what is important? Your involvement is important. But if you see it clearly, what is note taking? Note taking is done. It can be done from a book, from a speech, from a lecture. Whenever you are listening to someone during the speech, during the lecture, what do? You jot down, you write down the important aspects discussed by them. So that is taking down the notes. So here the activity is passive. The activity is passive. But when you are making notes, passive note taking involvement is passive, and in note making the involvement is active. Now why I am saying so? Because here you are just listening to something or just taking down as it is without thinking or giving it much thought. But here you are going through it nicely, and whatever important aspects you think are relevant, you take it down, and that is what note making is. Now here the changes made, here you can't make many changes. Whatever is there, whatever you find, you are writing it down as it is. You are taking it down. So here less changes are there. Less changes can be made, but here there is no such requirement. You can go through different source and make as many changes as you want. Yes, while making notes, you can have so many references at the same time. You can refer to so many things. So here less changes, here you can make more changes. Okay. Here you have the at your hand, you have that power to make many changes, as many changes as possible. Now, here, the source is usually one. You are listening to a speaker and you are writing down the notes. You are taking down the notes. You are listening to a lecture and you are taking down the notes. But here, when you are making the notes, you can have many sources. You can refer to a book. At the same time, you can refer to some online material that you got and you found it very easy to understand, simple, and you are taking it down too. Okay. So here there is only one source. Here there are many sources. Okay. Now here you have to write as they are being said. But here you can write it in short. You have that power to you that here you can make it, condense it and write. Now if we think both the skills are very important. Why both the skills are very important? Because it helps you in so many things. Note making and note taking. How does it help you? It saves your time. When when you are revising the material. It helps you to remember the important concepts, the important things from the particular topic, and in a glance you can understand it and you can remember the things. That's why both the things are very important, and as a student at times you have to use both. Now I think you might have understood. So what are notes? What is note making and note taking? And now we are going to the main topic, that is to make notes. Now, when you are growing up as a student, you have to make your own notes. So when you are making notes, there are so many methods, and the method actually depends on you. Depends on you means which method you find appropriate, you can apply the method. But many a times the method also depends upon the information or the data you have. Okay, so we are going to see the important methods which you can use while making notes. So there are so many methods, but we are going to concentrate, we are going to see the main three methods, which are the three methods which are more relevant and you are using. They are plain notes, which are points, simple notes you can say, points wise you can mention them, then you can use tree diagram. Third, you can write your notes in tabular form. Points and subpoints, tree diagram and tabular form. So how you are going to write down these things? What are points? You can divide your things in main points and subpoints. Main points and subpoints. You can divide the information. When you are dividing, you can use different ways, like I am using here, and then you can write, you can use bullet points, you can, as you want, okay, you can write. So these are the, when you are using points wise, you are presenting the information. Then the second thing is tree diagram. Tree diagrams you are familiar with, where you give the heading and then you divide the things in points and subpoints. Here also we are doing the same thing. Here also we are doing the same thing. The next form is tabular form, where you divide the things in the form of a table. You divide the points and subpoints. Okay. Now, when you are using any of these things, when you are writing the things points wise, when you are putting the information in a tree diagram, and when you are using tabular form, what exactly you are doing? What you are doing? You are writing simple main aspects of the information so that you can remember the whole thing in one glance. Okay, you can remember. So point, tree diagram, and in the tabular form. Everywhere, what you are doing actually, you are writing the main points and you are further dividing into the sub-points. Even in the tabular form, when you are writing the main points and further dividing into sub-points. Now, when you are writing notes, in exam when you are solving this question, a passage will be provided to you and you will be expected to make simple notes. You can write, actually to remember, we can give them a particular name. Points wise you can write, we can name it simple notes. Then you are using the information points wise. Then the tree diagram and the tabular form. Now, when you are given a passage and you are expected to condense it in any given form, maybe in tabular form, maybe in tree diagram, or maybe you are expected to write point-wise and sub-point 5. So what you should do? What you should do is, when you are writing notes, you should keep certain things in mind. What are the things that you should keep in mind? What are the things you should remember actually? First, when you are making notes, always remember that you have to give it a suitable title so that you can just remember everything, exactly which points you have written and what is the topic. So, give it a suitable title. Give a suitable title. In exam, when you are solving this question, always remember that you have to give a suitable title. You have to give a suitable title. Then, next thing, what you should remember is, notes are not lengthy. They are simple points and keywords which you are using to explain and to understand it later. So you have to write keywords, divide the information, in points and subpoints. Avoid, what you should avoid? Avoid writing complete sentences. Avoid articles, prepositions and all you can write. Avoid articles, prepositions, etc. Okay? And always remember, you can use bullet points, then arrows, etc. to highlight the subpoints. Okay? So, when you are given a passage in an exam to make and you are asked to make notes on it, what are the things you will keep in mind? You will give a suitable title, what you are exactly explaining. Then, if they ask you to write plain notes, you can divide it into points and subpoints. While dividing, use a uniform method when you are doing. If you are using Roman numbers for points, give all the points Roman number. If you are using ABCD, use same. If you are writing example in bullet points, write it in the same method. If you are making tree diagram, see that you don't write big sentences there. You have to write words or phrases. You have to use arrows to point out the relations properly. If you are making a table, see that you explain the points and subpoints properly and only use the keywords. Is it clear? So, today we learned about note making. We learned that notes are actually, what are notes? Notes are the brief written records which are written to help you to understand the concept in future and to remember them. Notes are useful, yes, very useful. To revise, to memorize, to remember the basic aspects. Then, there are two things we learned, note-taking and note-making. Note-taking you usually do during the lecture when the teacher is teaching. You jot down, you write down the important points. Note-making is an active activity where you are thoroughly involved in the process. You refer so many things and you write down the key points, fully engaged and fully engrossed in what exactly is important and how you have to do it. Okay? Then we saw the three ways of making notes. Simple notes where you are dividing into heading points and subpoints, examples and all. Tree diagram and tabular form. Then we also saw that while writing, you should keep three things in mind. Give a suitable title, use keywords, don't write complete sentences, avoid prepositions and articles if unnecessary, and see that you present the information systematically for better understanding. One more thing, notes are important and useful only when you are going through them, you are referring them, when you are revising or studying again. So always remember to use